We're going to take a practice GED math test today. And to do a great job on this practice test, get ready to go to take that GED test, you want to have a couple things in front of you. You want to have at all times while you're practicing for your GED test, you want to have the formula sheet. And this formula sheet is something that you can download and print off of online. And you also want to have your GED calculator. The GED test allows you to use a TI-30XS. On GED day, it'll be on your screen to see and use. It'll pop up on the screen, on the computer screen. You're not allowed to take the calculator into the exam. They have you just use the one on the screen. And this is the one you want, TI-30XS. It has to have the XS on it. You might be thinking, well, what's it matter? I can just use my phone. Well, that's the thing. You're just using your phone. When you get a new phone, it takes you a while to figure out how to use your new phone. The GED test is timed. You don't want to use your time during the test to figure out how to use the calculator. Nor do you want to take your time that day to try to look over this formula sheet and see if your formula that you want is on it. You want to know what's on it and what isn't on it and where to find it on the paper already. It's divided up into sections. On the top, it has area formulas, and then perimeter formulas, surface area and volume, and then at the bottom, it has some algebra formulas. If you go to my website that I have, a2math.com, I'll give you links to this formula sheet that you can just print it off, and I'll also give you links to TI that'll let you download this calculator for free for 90 days. And also we'll give you a link to just buy it if you want to from Amazon. The practice test we're taking today uses the Kaplan GED test book. I've got the most current one. Honestly, they're all about the same every year. So if you have one that's a couple years old, it's fine. It's the same test you're going to find in it. But I like this book. It's pretty good. It's very thorough and rigorous with their content in it. And you'll definitely be ready to take the test on GED day if you buy that book. But anyway, we're going to take the practice test today. What we're going to do here, I'm going to give you time to read the question and try it first, and then I'll go over it. So, for example, right now, you should read the directions and try number 1, and then I'm going to go over it for you. So, what you want to do on your video is hit pause right now, and when you hit pause, try the whole thing and then unpause it, and I'll work it out for you. Okay, it says on the top, directions. Use 20 or fewer minutes to answer the following 5 questions. You may fill in the circles next to the correct answers or write the answers in boxes. Refer to the formula sheet on page 593 as needed. You may not use a calculator on this section. Don't panic. These are the only 5 questions on the whole entire test that you're not allowed to use the calculator on. It's not a big deal. You're going to pass that test even if you don't know how to do some of your math. That's why you've got to get the calculator, get familiar with it, get fast with it, and you want to use it on the test because you're going to be able to get through a lot more of the questions that way and go a lot faster because, again, it is timed. Okay, number 1, Mike borrowed $400 from his brother for 6 months. He agreed to pay simple interest at the annual rate of 5%. Including interest and principal, how much will Mike have paid his brother at the end of the 6 months? Test tip, what you want to do is look at the answers first. He has to pay his brother back in 6 months and he borrowed $400. He darn well better pay back the $400, so it's not going to be A or B. So it's either going to be C or D. He's only charged him 5%. That's not a lot of interest. It's not going to be $100 in interest, so it's probably going to be C. So if you're in a guessing mood, you could just guess C and move on. If you want to use the formula for it on the formula sheet, it's down under the word algebra. They have simple interest down here. And they even told you what I, P, and R stand for in T. I is interest, P is the principal, R rate, T time. Okay, so I equals PRT. So the principal here is the $400 you borrowed. The rate is 5%, or 0.05. So 5%, to change that to a decimal, 5%, remember percent means per 100. So it's 5 out of 100, or 5 divided by 100. 5 per means divide. 100, there's 100 cents in a dollar, 100 years in a centennial, so it's 5 divided by 100, or 5 hundredths, 0.05. The time they said is 6 months, and this is what's kind of wonky. You just maybe be inclined to just stick 6 in it. Oh no, the time is in years. So 6 months out of a year is half a year. 6 months out of 12, or 1/2 a year. And then finishing up the interest formula, you can multiply in any order that you want. So I'm going to do a half of 400 is 200, and then times 0.5. 5 times 2 is 10. It's $10. I mean, you could take the time to multiply it all out, but 5 times 2 is 10. $10 makes sense. It's not going to be 100. All right, number 2. Again, hit pause if you need to. All right, hopefully you've tried it now. All right, what you want to do, it says, what is the value of the expression 3 parentheses 2x minus y parentheses plus 3 parentheses 3 plus x squared when x is 4 and y is 5? So you want to plug in those numbers. So it's 3 times 2 times x, which is 4, minus y, 5, plus 3 plus x, 4, squared. And now you're going to use PEMDAS. If you forgot what PEMDAS is, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. It's parentheses first, and then you do exponents, like 3 squared or 3 to the 4th. Then you multiply and divide. And last of all, you add and subtract. And be careful, you don't add and subtract one before the other. Addition doesn't come before subtraction. And multiplication doesn't come before division. You do those together, left to right, like you read a book. And you do the addition and subtraction the same way, left to right, like you read a book. All right, so using PEMDAS, you have to do the parentheses first. And what that means is figure out what's inside the parentheses. So doing inside the parentheses here, you got to do the multiplication first. 2 times 4 is 8, minus 5, plus, inside this parentheses, it's 7. Okay, so finishing up the parentheses, 8 minus 5 is 3, so it's 3 times 3, and then plus 7 squared. It's not 7 times 2, 14, it's 7 squared. The little number is special. It means there's 2 7s, 7 times 7. 7 times 7 is 49. So that gives you 9 plus 49, which is 58. Okay, again, pause it, try the next one, and then restart the video. Number 3, which of the following is equal to the expression 3x plus 2y times 5x minus 6y? All right, this is sometimes people call it foiling, but overall what you're doing is you're just multiplying everything together. Hopefully you notice that C and D look very similar, so it's going to be one of those two. So doing some foiling here, multiplying out. Start with the 3. Multiply the 3 times both the items in the other parenthesis. 3 times 5, 15x squared. And then 3 times minus 6 is minus 18, xy. Done with the 3. Next up, the 2. So 2 times the 5 and 2 times the 6. 2 times 5 is 10 plus 10xy. And then 2 times the minus 6 is minus 12y squared. And then last of all, negative 18 plus 10, different sign subtract, take the sign of the bigger number. So that'd make it negative 8xy. So 15x squared minus 8xy minus 12y squared. So that is going to be D. All right, number 4, pause it and restart it. John needs to replace the boards on a 22-foot section of his fence. He plans to place the boards as shown below. Note not drawn to scale. If the boards are 5.5 inches wide, how many boards should he buy to cover the distance? Hopefully you notice I have different units here. They had feet and inches. You're going to need to make them the same units. And inches would be the easiest one to do. So let's change those 22 feet to inches. There's 12 inches in a foot. So we're going to multiply 22 times 12. Add them up. You get 264 inches. All right, if we have 264 inches, obviously we're going to need more than 4 or 12 boards. It's either going to be the 48 or the 121 to cover 22 feet or 264 inches with boards that are 5 inches each. 5, 10, 15 inches. I mean, 3 boards alone are 15 inches. What I would do to make it quick is I would just round it up to 6, divide 6 into 264 instead of dividing by 5.5. So 6 goes into 26 4 times, subtract, and it goes into that another 4 times. So we round it up, so it's going to be at least 44 boards. So that's going to make 48 boards. If you want to be a little crazy here and do the actual math, we're dividing 5.5 into 264. Remember, when you're doing decimals, you move it over one place, and so this one goes over one place also, and then take the decimal straight up. And then 55 goes into 264 4 times. And when you multiply 55 times 4, you get 220. Subtract, and that's 44. Bring down the 0, and it goes into that exactly 8 times. But again, you don't need to, you could just round things a little bit and just make it easier on yourself to get that 48 because the numbers are so far apart. If you round a little bit, you're going to find the right answer. Okay, number 5, we got some more PEMDAS going. Again, pause it, try it, and then restart it. Okay, on number 5, you want the answer of negative 76. Okay, so to get negative 76 using PEMDAS, again, you're supposed to do the parentheses first. So that gives us then 4 minus 18 is negative 14. Four minus 18, negative 14. Next up, let's do the exponents by PEMDAS. That's what comes next. Parentheses, then exponents. 5 squared is 5 times 5, 25. So it's negative 3 times 25. And then 3 to the third, 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 again is 27. Next up, we're supposed to multiply. That gives us negative 75, negative 28, and then plus 27. A negative times a positive or a negative. If you would have had 2 negatives, that would have made a positive when you multiply. All right, and then just combine the numbers and you would get negative 76. All right, on to the next page. Now this one you're allowed to use your calculator on. And again, you should know how to use your calculator well before you take this test to save time. All right, it says in the directions you have a maximum of 1 hour and 35 minutes to try these, to answer all 41 questions. And it says you may fill in the circles next to the correct answers or write your answers in the boxes. Refer to the formula sheet on page 593 as needed. You may use a calculator on this section. Number 6, a storage shelf has room for only the 2 heaviest containers on the bottom shelf. The heaviest boxes should be placed on the bottom. Which 2 boxes should be placed on the bottom shelf? Write the letters of the boxes in the spaces provided. So they want the heaviest boxes. Those are going to be the biggest numbers. The biggest numbers are the heaviest boxes. So you want to find the biggest numbers there. And the biggest numbers there were A and D. A was 197 and D was 190. Oops, 199. Sorry about that. And that's bigger than the other 3. So those are definitely the heaviest, A and D. All right, number 7. Again, hit pause and then restart it. On number 7, you want the answer of 77. It says Brad's average golf score after 6 rounds was 81. For the first 5 rounds, his scores were 78, 86, 82, 81, and 82. What was his score on the 6th round? On the formula sheet, it talks about the average or the mean. Average means mean. Average and mean are the same things. They're interchangeable, just different words for the same thing. And it says on your formula sheet that the mean is equal to the total of the values in the data set divided by the number of elements in the data set. In other words, add them all up. So add all these numbers up. And then we have a 6th round that we don't know what he got the score to. What was his 6th round? So use your calculator. Add them all up. So you're going to do 78 plus 86 plus 82 plus 81 plus 82. Hit enter. And it gives you 409. So add them all up. 409 plus that mystery 6th round. So add up all the numbers, divide by how many numbers. We have 6 numbers technically. We want the average to equal 81. So again, the formula is you add them all, divide by the total number of numbers, and then that equals the average. And so I filled in what the average is, 81. We want it to equal 81. We added them all up. They added up to 409 plus the mystery round. Divide by 6 and it equals 81. Now we have to solve that. What we're going to do, because it's divided by 6, so to isolate the x, you're going to do the opposite of divide by the 6. You need to multiply by the 6 to get rid of it. So 81 times 6 gives us 486. So then we have 409 plus x equals 486. And then we want to, again, isolate the x, get it by itself. So get rid of the 409. So subtract 409. Hit equals, or enter. The calculator has enter on it. And you get 77. Okay, next one. I'll leave it there. But, oh, I forgot. You can hit pause always. So move it on here. Number 8. Again, hit pause and then restart it. Okay, on number 8, you want to have C. It says a kayaker spends 2 hours paddling up a stream from point A to B, quickly turns her kayak around, and immediately heads back downstream. It only takes her 1 hour to float back down the stream from point A to point B, from B to A. If points A and B are 6 miles apart, what was the kayaker's average rate of speed in miles per hour? All right. Well, on your formula sheet, it has the distance formula down here. It says distance formula, D equals RT. D is distance, R is the rate, and T is the time. The distance they went, if they're 12 miles apart, so they went, 6, I'm so sorry, they're 6 miles apart. So they went 6 up and then they went 6 back. So that's 12. 6 down and 6 back. It adds up to 12. We don't know what the rate is, but we know what the time is. It took 2 hours to go the one way and 1 hour to go the other way. So we went a total of 3 hours. So solving for R then, isolate the R, get rid of the 3. So divide by 3, and 4 equals R. Okay, number 9. Again, hit pause, try it, and then restart it. Okay, number 9. It says in quadrilateral ABCD, side AB is parallel to side CD. Sides AD and BC are not parallel. What is the area of the figure to the nearest square centimeter? All right, the answer you want for this is 10. Let's look at our formula sheet. Again, you get to have this on GED day. You don't have to memorize this formula. But they have on here the area of a trapezoid. Right here, the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 the height. H is height. And then times B1 and B2. B1 and B2 are the bases. So let's write this down. My suggestion always, just like on the one above here, I wrote down the formula, write down the formula, plug in the numbers. Same idea here. Write down the formula, stay calm, just write it down. The formula is A equals 1/2 H times B1 plus B2. All right. And so H is the height and the B's are the bases. The bases are the parallel sides. The parallel sides are right here. They look like train tracks. They never intersect the two parallel lines. And then the height goes between the tracks at a right angle. It's all about the right angle. Find the right angle and you've got the height. So it is 1/2 times that height of 2.5 parentheses 2 plus 6, because the bases were 2 and 6. All right, let's get that calculator going. So it's 1/2. You could use for the 1/2 the n over d key. So 1 n over d is right here on the third row down, 2. And then times, I'll use the times key. So times in 2.5, and then they have parentheses, 2 plus 6, parentheses, bam, 10. So you don't even need to try, don't stop and try to do PEMDAS on that. You have a calculator now, stop it. Just put it in the calculator. And this N over D key does the fractions for you. And currently it's in classic mode. You might want to toggle between the modes sometimes. So click on mode and toggle down to classic and math print are on the bottom row of mode. I'm going to go to the right and hit enter on that. Let's see, hit enter on it. And now it's in math print mode. And so hit any key to get out of that. And I'm doing it again. It makes prettier fractions. So 1 n over d2, toggle to the right, times 2.5, parentheses 2 plus 6, parentheses, enter, 10. So while we're there, again, the math print mode, hit the word mode, the top row, toggle down, hit enter on whatever mode you want, but that's the only thing you want to change on the mode. Don't play with the other stuff. We don't care about degree, norm, and float. All we care about is classic and math print. All right, well, log into the next one here to see what number 10 is. Thank you for joining me.